Hi, everybody. Okay, I was just going to summarize some of the stuff we talked about at our Microsoft Teams meeting on June 16th, but also provide you with some new information about the exam. So we talked about the Culminating. We have been talking about the Culminating a lot. It's due on June 22nd. After that, I just won't have time to mark it. So if you don't get it in by that date, then just don't bother handing it in. It won't affect your mark at all. And you can just try the exam if you want, or just make sure you have everything done from the 5 units in the course. So priority wise, it's best to make sure everything from the 5 units in the course is totally completed, and then you can start the Culminating and Final. So the Culminating is 2 parts, as you know. So part 1 was due last week, and part 2 is due on the 22nd. Part 1 was just some feedback because I didn't probably give you guys the best criteria for part 1. So I wanted to be able to provide you with some feedback so you know if you missed anything or what you needed to add. So I've done that. So now part 2, you have 5 questions to answer, but you're allowed to use your part 1 to replace one of those 5 questions in part 2. Any format is great, video, PDF, etc. I made a video explaining that if everyone made a video, I might not have time to watch them all, although I guarantee you I'll make time, but I wouldn't mind if some people actually decided to do a text solution, if you wouldn't mind. So anyways, but totally do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm happy to mark either format. And if you have any further questions about the Culminating, just ask, or you can book a Teams meeting with me if you want to just talk to me about something. Okay, then the final exam, I didn't go into this much detail, I don't think, at the meeting, but I want to talk about it. So it can be written from June 19th to the 25th. If you're writing it online, those are your timelines. That's when the exam opens up, right super early in the morning on June 19th. So you have that whole Friday, any day on the weekend, and then the following week to write the exam. If you're writing it online, you have a 3-hour time limit just because of technical things, like in case you have to upload solutions and like typing things takes longer than writing things out. So I think you needed a little bit of extra time. You have 2 hours if you're doing it on paper, which is plenty of time also. If you want to do your exam on paper, I need to get an email. So I've sent emails to all your parent guardians, assuming I have their correct email addresses. And they can email me back, or you can, as long as I know that a parent or guardian is going to be able to supervise you to know that you're just taking 2 hours. And paper copies are going to be emailed out today, what is today? The 17th. Just so that you guys have it ahead of time. But I mean, obviously, if you have a paper copy and you get it today, then you can write it whenever you want. You don't need to tell me when you're writing it, as long as you complete it in the timeline and then upload it back, send it back to me. If you are doing the paper version, then there is an assignment folder where you can hand in your final exam. And it's called Final Exam. So you can pop it in there, or if that's not working for you, you can also email it to me. But this would be the best spot to put it. And you can take a picture of each page, or you can scan them, or whatever. Just as long as they're clear and I can read them, it's all good. Okay, the exam is made up of 12 multiple choice questions and 5 open response questions. So the multiple choice questions, there's 5 on measurement and geometry. There's 3 questions on algebra and 4 questions on linear relations and analytic geometry. Then in your open response section, you don't have to graph anything because that was too hard to set up online. So your 5 open response questions are, 1 you'll have on measurement. So it could be like finding the area or the volume or the surface area or the perimeter. It could be anything like that. Or optimization, although I'll just let that out. Your optimization question is a multiple choice question. The second question is a scatter plot question. So I've given you a scatter plot and you'll have to answer some questions. The third open response question is a linear relation one. The fourth one is an algebra question, and the fifth one is analytic geometry. And each of those 5 questions is worth 4 marks each for a total of 20 marks. So your total exam is only out of 32. So it's a bit shorter than a regular exam, obviously, but that's just to give me time to mark it and also just to give you time to complete it. So it's a fairly short exam. What else was I going to say? If you're doing your exam online, just as I've been saying, make sure when you hit start quiz, you're ready to go because you only have 3 hours and it won't stop your time as soon as you hit start quiz. So make sure you're ready. What you are allowed to use during your exam is you can use as much scrap paper as you want. Scrap paper is fine. Obviously, pens or pencils, obviously that's fine. A calculator is okay. You'll probably want one. And your measurement formula sheet, which might not be a bad idea to print that out ahead of time. There is a copy. I'll make sure I attach a copy to this post also, just so you have it handy. And there's one in the measurement section, and there's also going to be one attached to the exam. So you may want to print that out ahead of time because it's nice to have on hand. And it's just the formulas with perimeter area, volume, and surface area. And that's all you need. You can also have graph paper if you have any, but it's not required and you don't need it. So if you happen to have graph paper and you just want to have it, also obviously a ruler is fine to have, but like I said, you're not graphing or drawing anything, so not required. Please, if you're doing your exam online, don't have any other tabs open. I've set that as a restriction, but I know there's ways around that. So just please don't. Do it just using your own brain. Don't use any of your other notes. Try it. Make it as legitimate as possible. I guess that's all I have to say about the exam. Oh, except for report cards. So every school has different timelines. If you're part of the Hamilton board, then my marks are due on the 25th. So if you wait until the 25th to write your exam, there's a chance I won't be able to mark it in time to get that in for my marks. So I would say if you want your final exam included on your report card, the earlier you can do the exam, the better. But it's a pretty short exam, so it shouldn't take me very long to mark it. If you run into any difficulties during your exam, then I want to be available. So I guess I said you're not required to let me know when you're writing it, but if you are writing it online, it might not be a bad idea to send me to let me know when you're writing it. So I think I might actually, and this is optional, but I think I might actually set up a sign up list for when you're going to write your exam, just so that I can be online when you're writing. And if you have a question during your exam, like if something's going wrong, you could send me a quick message, that like an instant thing. Although I did block all tabs from being open, so you'd have to send it on another device or something. So I would say if you are having difficulties during your exam, so if you're having any technical difficulties, if you've signed up and let me know when you're writing your exam, then I'll try to be online. And I would say the best way, if you're having technical difficulties, what would be the best way to get me a message instantly? Just trying to think. I guess email. I can check right away. So if you're able to email me, if that's not working, then you could send me a message in Teams, Microsoft Teams. Or like you can directly message Laura Schmidt in Teams. You can send me a direct message in the chat of Teams, not just in our calculus group chat, or calculus, not in our grade 9 math group chat. So yeah, if you send me a direct message in Teams, that might work. Or in the discussion board, I wouldn't recommend because that's going to take me longer. So I'll have to go in there and see that you wrote a discussion post. So I would say email or Teams will get you the quickest response. Yeah, I guess that would be the best. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say. Also on our course website, if you go into the content and you look in the review modules, there's also review videos that go through That's another thing I should write down. So somebody did ask, like, how do I study for the exam? And what a great question, because I feel like nobody knows how to study. Or not a lot of people. So I think the best way is to actually practice questions, not just reading over your notes, because I think your brain kind of shuts off when you're just randomly reading stuff. So I would say, like, do actual math questions. And from each section without looking at the answer or using any notes. So questions that you can do, there's a whole review booklet posted in the module in the content. So you can try the review booklet and check your answers afterwards to make sure you did all the questions right. The review booklet goes through every single topic we covered. It's actually a really good place to start. You can watch the review videos, but then you're not doing questions. Watch videos. There's like one specifically for each unit. And you can try redoing tests from each unit. Tests from each unit. Which I said I was going to post in a module, like a PDF of all the tests that we've done. So I'm going to try to do that soon. And I would say that's the best way to study. Just going through everything and redoing tests, redo questions, like pop open the content, redo anything from there. And then you should be good to go. Okay, guys, I hope that helps answer any of your final questions. I don't think there's anything else. I guess the very final thing will be your final mark in the course. So they'll all be updated on that spreadsheet that I have posted in the nav bar. So I'll have everything laid out in there. And if you have any questions, you can email or post in the discussion post. But that's where I'll post your overall mark. And I'll post your mark for the culminating and final exam there too. Now, just so you know, culminating and final, I won't be providing feedback. I know that's horrible, but we typically don't on those final assessments. Probably a lot due to time restrictions, and also you don't typically see a copy of your final exam when you're done writing, unless you come to this like final exam review day. That's how we do it in high school. You would usually come in and like be able to review your exam, but you wouldn't be allowed to take it home. And so I would just say, like, since this is e-learning, we're obviously not going to meet, and COVID. So when you're finished your final, I'll probably just let you view it so you can see which ones you got right and wrong. If you did a paper copy, I'll be able to, I don't know. I guess I can mark it online, so you'll be able to go back in and see the marks that I've done on the corrections, but there won't be a lot of feedback provided. So please just, again, message or email if you're not understanding what you got wrong. And that's it. We're almost done. Okay, guys, take care, and let me know if you have any questions.